Hi guys, this is Jojo from SC2 News, and this is episode 1 of the StarCraft 2 live show In the Spotlight, where we will talk to professional players, industry insiders, and lots of other StarCraft personalities. After tonight's show, we will feature the roster of Team Empire. Next week we will have Empire Hobart as a guest, and then we will talk to Empire Beastie Cutie. But now let's focus on tonight. Our guest tonight is TeamLiquid.net admin and red name Michael Pandemic Staverman, if I pronounce that last name right.
Pretty close. Staverman, but
Staverman, okay.
that'll work.
Staverman it is. After getting to know him a little bit better, we will talk a bit about what's going on behind the scenes of Team Liquid and the current StarCraft 2 scene. If you have any questions for him, just post them in the chat and we will choose some of them during the show. So let's give a warm welcome to Michael. You ready to do this?
Yeah, I am. Thanks for having me on, man.
So, since this is a first time live show, let's hope that everything works fine. You can leave your feedback in the chat as well to see if everything works. Okay, to start off, if someone would ask, who is this pandemic guy, what would you tell them?
Well, I mean, I could say a lot of other things, but if you're talking about pandemic or whatever, I'm just a moderator on Team Liquid. I run the database, is pretty much my main responsibility. I do a couple other things on the side. I help with TL Pro. I'll run the Twitter here and there. That's pretty much it.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Tell us a little bit more about Michael. Where do you live? What do you study? Do you work? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I live in northern Kentucky. It's pretty much Midwest United States, just south of Cincinnati, if you know where that is. Like, I live 5 minutes from the airport that serves like the whole area. I'm a college student in my third year, and in the summers I work part-time. I sell beer at like the local ballparks. So it's pretty much what I'm doing outside of
That sounds
StarCraft
fun.
at the moment.
And what do you study?
I'm a marketing major.
What are your plans afterwards? Are you planning to pursue a career within esports or the gaming community?
If something like that fell into my lap, that would be really cool, but I mean, right now I'm not really focusing on that or like banking on getting a job and like through any of this. So it's just sort of a like fun thing that I do on the side while I'm going to school, while I'm working. So yeah.
But you wouldn't mind?
No, that would be awesome. If anyone wants to give me a job in esports, like, I'd be all for it.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your hobbies outside of StarCraft, just to get to know you a bit more.
Yeah, like, I play other games. I used to play LoL, play Dota 2 more recently. I'm also obviously into sports. That's why I really like that job at the ballpark, because I'm a huge Cincinnati Reds fan, so that works out. And also follow like basketball. I run here and there, so those are my other interests.
That sounds amazing. What got you hooked on StarCraft?
What got me hooked? You have to go back to, because it was like early to mid 2007. There were like 3 or 4 commentators that would take the original Korean Brood War VODs and they'd dub their commentary over top of it. Like, a couple of them are still fairly prominent today. Like, Moletrap is one that's really sort of blown up, but he's over in Korea and everything. But Diggity was another one of those guys. Klazart was probably the first. And yeah, there's a handful of other guys, but I ran into those videos and I just got really enthralled in it. I had never seen that before. Like, I played Brood War back when I was a kid, in like 4th grade, but I left it eventually, and I had no idea people played the game professionally. So I saw these games and I thought it was really interesting. And eventually I just got sucked into the scene. I didn't even watch the English commentaries so much anymore. I would end up watching live late at night at home, whatever. So, and I've been pretty much here ever since.
Hmm. So it was really during the Brood War days that you yeah, got hooked on
Yeah.
StarCraft. There's a lot of discussion sometimes on Team Liquid about Brood War and StarCraft 2 and comparing the two and comparing the state of StarCraft 2 now to Brood War. What's your opinion on that? Can you compare StarCraft 2 with Brood War?
Um, yeah, it's kind of a broad question. I don't know.
Mm.
Like,
Maybe more specific now.
like for me as a fan, you want me to?
Yeah.
Uh, Gosh, I don't know. I get so nostalgic thinking about Brood War like back in the days. Just like because everything we have now, we have live streaming and everything. It makes it so easy, so accessible. Like 3 years ago, we didn't have any of this, so it'd just be one dude posting an MMS stream and thousands of people like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. Uh, or if we didn't have that, we would all be going through like a Chinese like sort of shady relay site to watch Brood War.
Yeah.
Um, so that was it was kind of like you had to work in and of itself just to watch back then, and now it's all right there. And I probably watch a little less overall now just because I have more other things going on. But I'm still pretty much very much just as into it as I've ever been.
Hmm. So, looking back at your experience with StarCraft, Brood War, as well as StarCraft 2, what was one of your favorite moments?
One favorite moment. I'll just go one from Brood War, one from StarCraft
Hmm.
2. Like Brood War didn't have like these huge LAN events that you could go to or anything, so it's just gonna be like it's pretty much just like a game that got me like really really hooked. I think it was 2008 Pro League, like the playoffs or something, and it was like it came down to the ace match, and Savior was playing in it, and he won a really tight match. Like that's one game that just really stuck with me. Because even after that, like he went, he sat down, it looked like he was almost about to cry, and I'm like, all right, this is like this isn't just some dude playing a game. Like I could just see it all over his face. It was a dramatic moment.
Hmm.
Um, as far as StarCraft 2 goes, I've been to a couple events now. I'd have to say my favorite like moment. It's been great just to meet everyone that I've like known through Team Liquid and other websites for a couple years now. I've just known them by their screen name, but never been able to see them in person. So that was really cool. But like if there's a quintessential moment, so to speak, it was probably at MLG Columbus.
Hmm.
I got to have dinner with Hotbit and a bunch of the Liquid players, maybe all but two. And that was really cool. But right after that, like we went back and we went into the venue. It was the last day to see the final matches. And when we had left, like all the other games were still going on. Halo was still finishing up. Call of Duty was still going on. But when we returned, that was like when we walked in the door, and every stage had StarCraft on, and every stage was pretty much full. And I don't know, it was just all sort of like laid out in front of me, and I was just like, it was a wow moment for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask that about like what tournaments or conventions you've went to, but you've covered that pretty much. Um, Also, maybe following up with that a little bit, you are a lot of guys working, or guys and girls, of course, working at Team Liquid, and yeah, all over the world. How often do you actually meet in person? I mean, I assume there's not such a thing like an annual Team Liquid ball or something like that.
Well, like years ago, it was obviously like you'd be pretty few and far between. You'd have the people that would be visiting Korea, and they'd have a meetup there. I never did a meetup in like Brood War days or anything, just because there wasn't anything around me, and I didn't have the expendable income to just hop over and go to Korea and see people or anything like that. And there were no bar crafts or anything, so like it would play pretty much seems like it would be like BlizzCon or the worldwide invitationals they used to hold. Those would be like the big gatherings for the Brood War community, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got a chance to get to those. I wish I did in retrospect, but there were only like a couple years where I had that opportunity. Um, Nowadays, it happens like every day probably. I mean, there's enough of us that like you'll just like some people live close enough to each other they'll just go out and have a drink. Other people like will just go like I went to MLG and IPL 3 was my other event. I met so many people through those events, and then even just within like 100-mile radius of where I live, there's probably going to be like 5 bar crafts in the next month or so where I could go out and meet other people, not necessarily staff, but just regular TL users. So
Mm-hmm. All right.
happens a lot more these days.
Okay. Um, so touching on your work for Team Liquid a bit more now, tell us a little bit more in detail what it is you do.
Okay. It's well, started out I used to be like part of just a group of I'd say about 3 people, 4 people that worked intensely on the database. But when I started, it was just Brood War. So you'd have the 5 games that happened every night, the 1 Pro League match or 2 Pro League matches. It was, and then you'd have maybe like an individual league match going on the same day. So it'd be max like 15 games that you'd have to add, and it would just be something you did before you went to school in the morning. But over the last 2 years, it's like the database has slowly started to expand. So we've got 5 different divisions of the database. We're over 100,000 games. The StarCraft database just by itself is getting ridiculously huge at a ridiculous pace. Like over 13 years of pro Korean Brood War, I think we have a total of about 42,000 games in just about 2 years of StarCraft, or what, a year and a half of StarCraft 2, whatever you want to call it. I think the international database already has like 45,000 games. So it's just gotten a lot bigger, and as that's happened, I've moved more into a management role, so to speak. We've hired, if you want to call it that. We've gotten additional volunteers that help, and yeah, we just add games to the database so people have a record of what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Also, you do a bit of moderating work, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yeah, moderating is really sort of it's not like a main focus or anything. It's just sort of wow, the forums are pretty shitty today. I should step in and maybe correct this thread. I don't know, but yeah, I moderate. It's been a little less recently, but I'm still fairly active, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just said, well, the forum is getting a little shitty. What kind of posts make you most angry, or what kind of posts do you most appreciate?
Most angry.
Or let's say, yeah, what kind of rules are breached the most?
Oh, well, I can answer the most angry one too, probably.
Okay.
The worst posts are the ones that just come in like immediately after an amazing, like insightful post. Like you can see someone clearly sat down for 5 minutes, thought about everything, and wrote out a clear, concise opinion or whatever. And then you have the guy that comes in immediately after. It's like too long, didn't read. That's where I just want to like reach out across the internet and just like strangle someone. As far as the most commonly breached, I'd say it has to be like some live report thread rule where you can't bash casters or something. That's sort of like Insta 2-day ban right there, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my favorite types of posts, I've always been more of, I'm doing the database work, so and going back even farther past that, I've always been huge into baseball and statistics and that sort of thing. Um, so anything where I see a big like analytical report, or someone clearly put a ton of time like analyzing stuff. Like every month, there's one dude that puts together the chart of the race win percentages for StarCraft 2.
Hmm.
That's the stuff I just love seeing. So yeah.
All right. And also, I think you're doing the Twitter. You said the Twitter for Team Liquid Pro. Are there any guidelines of what you can post? Is there a guideline on the kind of language you can use and stuff like that?
I mean, basically what I'm doing is just for leagues or whatever, it's basically just live reporting the games via Twitter, just letting people know there's a game going on. Um, so I mean, yeah, obviously I can't go on it and just curse or something, but it's just try to be enthusiastic and show people Liquid's playing, and they should be excited too.
Hmm. Um, in the chat, a viewer just said Team Liquid is pretty strict about what kind of stuff they ban, and he says he really likes that. Um, I guess, I mean, there are always two sides to this argument, and there are a lot of
Yeah.
people who
Well, there's always that guy that's getting banned and hates it. So
exactly. Actually, today I was reading through the post, the Team Liquid bot post, where you can find all the bans with the reasons, and it's actually quite hilarious to look at that.
mm,
Um, okay, now moving a bit away from Team Liquid maybe and into a broader sense of StarCraft and maybe Blizzard. Um, Blizzard provides a community driven experience with most of their games, not least of which is StarCraft. There are possibilities like editing and creating your own maps and stuff like that. How much dialogue is there between you guys at Team Liquid and Blizzard, if any?
uh, I mean, I manage the database and everything, but I personally never had any contact with Blizzard, and I can't really speak for any other admins and how often they talk to Blizzard at all. But I think in the old days, like back before StarCraft 2 was out, we always joked that we thought TL probably communicated the least, but I'm sure things have just changed. So I don't know. I can't really answer that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have an answer.
Yeah. Um, and how important do you think the kinds of communities that have evolved around games like StarCraft will be in the development of video gaming as a medium? I mean, at the moment, we could say that in its development, video games are very much going through puberty at the moment, if you want to use a biological analogy, um, and really kind of maturing as a platform and taking their place amongst other mainstream media. Do you think communities like in Team Liquid are really important for that? Are they gonna be the base of this growing esports scene?
Um. Oh gosh, I don't play enough other video games to really make any broad, sweeping generalizations. I don't consider myself overall gaming industry expert at all. But if I just had to think about it, I'd say like very clearly games are like getting geared more in a direction to where it's more interpersonal contact, like a WoW or uh, an MMORPG, or even like LoL is sort of like the medium there. You're always, if you're playing LoL, you're going to be getting 5 friends together most of the time, because hell, everyone I talk to, they're like solo queuing as hell. You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So definitely seems like games are headed that direction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A viewer just asked a question. He asked, "What league in StarCraft 2 do you play at the moment?"
I'm high platinum. I was diamond last season, but pretty much didn't play for like about a month and a half and dropped down. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you stream some of your games?
Yeah, from time to time I do.
Mm-hmm. All right. Um, coming back to the idea of esports and Team Liquid and this growing scene around StarCraft. Esports around StarCraft is really accelerating in 2012. Do you think that's a bubble that's gonna burst, or do you think it's a pattern that's gonna keep going like this?
Uh, sure hope it doesn't burst, but uh, it seems sustainable from what I've seen. And I may be considered an industry insider being on Team Liquid and everything, but we aren't that MLG that's putting out that event and has to fork over millions of dollars just to rent out a convention center and hire employees and everything. So they could speak to how sustainable it is. It's their money that they're spending, but I think there's still companies are still struggling to find that model that's going to net them the most profit with what we have. Like, we have people watching streams, but how are they going to monetize it, really? Like, NASL has struggled with the season package or whatever. I don't know if that was like $20 just to get HD for all season. I didn't buy it, but I don't know the details. But like, you can just see how leagues, like, we have something here, but we don't know quite what we're gonna make of it. I think over the next year or two, we'll start to find teams and leagues and everything that are finding those niches where they can really tap the market.
Yeah.
At least I hope so. I mean, right now, everything last year, I sort of think of it as like building, and now we have it, and we're trying to figure out where we want to go. We'll know in like a year or two if it's sustainable, but I think it is, and I hope it is.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about this whole development is that, especially in this whole growing phase that we've been in, especially in the last year, it was really nice to see this still very personal level within the community. So you had a lot of interaction between professional players and viewers and stuff like that. And I personally have the fear that this will go away as esports, and especially around esports around the StarCraft 2 scene will become more professional and commercial.
I don't know if I have that fear, really. Like, excuse me, we all want this to get big or whatever, and I think there's going to be a point where it's not going to get much bigger. I'm not sure if, like, you're ever going to have In Control as like such a huge star that he's like going to movie star levels, and he doesn't want people following him or taking pictures. I still, like, maybe like generations from now they might be that way. I don't know, but the guys that I've met, the people I've seen at these events, I don't really think they'll change too much over the next couple of years as far as fan accessibility and stuff goes.
Okay. I have another question from the viewers. Do you think it would be better for if the community decided which streams are featured and which streams are not featured?
I don't even know. I personally don't handle it. It's really tough because that's something that Reds and other people that manage it really struggle with, because that's getting featured it's a big deal for a lot of people. It's a player that's trying to stream for income, that's going to bump them up. So it's tough to just say I'd be okay with putting it to like a poll or something. Like everyone out there, the users, can support each person with their eyes by watching a stream. I think that's enough, and then we'll try to look at how many people are watching and the quality of the content that's coming out, and then try to discern which streams deserve to be featured. I feel that's the best way to do it, at least.
Yeah. I mean, the selection process, as far as I know from the previous interviews, looks at things like the amount of viewers, which is obviously a community-driven factor, and as well as the content that's provided. So if interaction with the viewers, if it's helpful, stuff like that. Um, yeah. Another question was, what is your favorite StarCraft 2 team apart from Team Liquid?
Apart from Team Liquid,
Or is it not Team Liquid?
oh no, it's Team Liquid. I don't really think about it that much. Like, I've been trying to watch GSTL recently because some of those matches have been earlier, but it's really tough for me to, like, these days, to stay up late and watch all the Korean pro teams play. I don't really think I have another foreign team that I'm huge into. I'd say it's probably OGS is probably my favorite other team for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Just the connection between TL and OGS.
Mm-hmm. And another question submitted just now is, what player would be on top of your list to join Team Liquid?
Oh, it's a tough question. I don't really have any say in the matter, but just from the guys I've met at events, I think Thorzane would probably be my pick, personally. I got to talk to him at Columbus, and it was really cool. We were just sitting there watching the finals, and we just got finished having dinner. And, he was having dinner with us, so after he did an interview, he just sort of grabbed a seat. Didn't really say anything. He just grabbed a seat, and then he started giving his analysis of the finals and everything at Columbus. So that was really cool, and he's got a good mix of skill and just everything else he needs to be an awesome player, and a player that Liquid would love to have, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's stick with players and Team Liquid. Let's do a bit of a funny question. Some kind of marry, have sex with, kill kind of question. So we have 9 categories for the 9 players, including Nazgul. So the categories are, if you had to.
Hold on, just one moment.
Yeah, no problem.
Alright, sorry. Kill.
That's no problem at all.
It was marry, sex, kill, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna have 9 categories, so a lot to remember. Okay, if you had to, who would you first marry, second, have sex with, third, have as your wingman, fourth, kill, fifth, declare as your personal hero, sixth, tell to get alive, 7, send to another team, 8, go party with, and 9, most want to have your back in the case of a Zerg invasion of planet Earth.
Okay, it's gonna be. You might have to go back over those later,
okay.
But let's just get into it. Or did you say out of the Liquid players, or
Yeah,
I may have missed that part.
Yeah,
Out of the Liquid players.
players.
Okay. All right. I'll go from the last one you said. Have my back in a Zerg invasion of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
Probably someone with good skills against
I think I'd say Victor, because he has the most sway, the most power. He'd be able to get me into a safe house or something. I don't know.
Okay. Number 8 was, who would you go party with?
Party with? I think I'll say Tyler.
Okay. Why is that?
I went to Rally too,
Mm-hmm.
and had drinks with him, or among a bunch of other people. But yeah, he's fun to go out with.
All right. Who would you send to another team?
Sendo. Oh God.
I mean, there is still kill left, so this is not
Yeah.
too bad.
Oh shit! I gotta be harsh to somebody. I think I'd send Chef, because Chef wouldn't hate me for it. He'd still be awesome.
All right. Also, we have another negative one. Who would you tell to get alive?
Tell to what? I'm sorry.
Tell to get a life.
To get a life? Uh, God, I don't know. I just want to spit out a name, but I don't have like a reason.
That's alright.
I think. Uh, I don't know. I'd tell Hero to get a life. I don't know.
Okay. Who would you declare as your personal hero?
My personal hero, Rhett. Like I've always tried to emulate his style of play, like in the game. So he's my favorite Liquid player. So.
Mm-hmm. And now, who would you kill?
Gosh.
You don't have to answer this question if you're too uncomfortable.
Who would I kill? Oh. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass on that one.
Okay.
That'll be my one pass.
Alright. Who would you have as your wingman?
My wingman, Hey Pro.
Liquid Hyper, why is that?
I've seen him in action. He's just got the skills.
Mm-hmm.
We played cards at IPL. He just I don't know. He's hilarious. Like I need a funny wingman to just spout out good jokes when I like struggle. So.
Alright.
Well, it's not like he gives a joke. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Hater being hilarious. He just is. So.
Yeah. Who would you have sex with?
Xenio.
Xenio, alright. And who would you marry?
Who do I have left?
You
TLO.
got, yeah, Jinro, TLO.
TLO's dashing.
Alright, good. Back to a bit more serious topics. Heart of the Swarm is coming out this year. What kind of impact do you think it'll have on on professional StarCraft and Team Liquid, if it's coming out this year?
It really depends. Like the balance could obviously be a huge factor, and I have no idea what it'd be like. I didn't play it at BlizzCon or anything, so outside of that, I'm trying to think. Well, I think when Heart of the Swarm comes, I'm just guessing that that's going to be when the Brood War teams switch over.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to hugely change everything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah, there's also been discussion, or there's been news about that there might be more leagues in Korea with Heart of the Swarm. So it's not GOM TV exclusive. So this might open up the market a bit as well, and yeah, take in more teams.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'd definitely look forward to like an OGN produced Star League. Would be amazing. Mm-hmm. They still are, but
yeah,
the Brood War Star Leagues are fewer and farther between nowadays. So.
Okay, and yeah, going along with that, there's been a lot of discussion about a regulatory body for professional StarCraft after incidents like the Naniwa situation or Stefano not playing his final series. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I'd say definitely in Korea, where they have a number of teams so close together, so readily accessible. It makes sense to have some kind of organization that oversees everything. Mm-hmm. Outside of Korea, it's just so difficult. It's still needed for sure, but you're dealing with organizations that span the globe, different time zones, everything. Yeah, it's needed for sure, and I think Korea will get theirs in a matter of time. If I had to guess, I would say that the Brood War teams would switch over, and whenever that happens, Kespo will just absorb the teams that are looking healthy in the SC2 scene. This is my uninformed opinion, I guess, but that's in probably 2 years. I'll bet Kespo is that organization for StarCraft 2 in Korea.
Mm-hmm. Another viewer submitted question, one of the last ones now. Um, he is asking what Brood War players will be dangerous when they swap, if they swap, in your opinion.
Uh, See, I've fallen out of the habit of watching Brood War as much as I used to. Well, I'll pull up a list of players and see who. I think someone MMA in an interview said that Zero would be really good.
Mm-hmm.
MMA knows a whole hell of a lot more about the game than I do, so I'll say Zero will be amazing. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Then you have Flash, Bisu, Fantasy, Jaedong. Those guys are like S-class players. So if they switched over, I'm sure they'd be very very difficult to beat. Um, I don't know. Outside of that, there's a lot of players that could be good. The players I want to be good are. I always was a huge fan of CJ Entis.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever's on their team, Hydra, Movie, Effort was my favorite player for a long time. I'm sure he could be pretty good. So yeah, those are the players I want to see playing StarCraft 2. They don't have to be playing StarCraft 2 like soon. Keep playing Brood War out, but whenever they switch, I hope all those guys come.
Yeah. I definitely think a lot of people would agree with that, and I think especially Jaedong is awaited by everyone. Um, yeah. Okay. That was pretty much it. Unless we have one more viewer question, guys, submit a question if there's anything else. Let's see. We got one more. If you could have one feature of another sport as esports brought over to StarCraft 2, what would it be?
Damn, good question. One feature. Alright, well, I'm big into stats, so... Well, it already is sort of a... Like, I just love in-game stats. People, like when GOM brings a map statistic or player statistics, head-to-head statistics, any of that. When they incorporate that in, I think that's awesome, and that's something Brood War did back in the day that I'd just like to see more of. As far as... And casters do that, but they don't have like a graphic on screen that looks professional like actual sports have.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that could take presentation to another level that a lot of leagues underutilize. As far as something completely new that esports hasn't really done.
Sorry, one
Yeah,
suggestion is cheerleaders.
Oh, cheerleaders. Well, Brood War had booth girls, sorta.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't mind that, but that's not the one I'd pick. What else does? Oh, here's something. I just like at like an MLG or an IPL. Just like they have a merch shop, but it's all like MLG merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that could be really successful is just whatever they have to do to talk to teams or something, but that's like they could sell team jerseys or whatever. That would just make it really feel I don't know if I'd say more legitimate, but it would just make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very insightful interview. And is there anything you want to say to the viewers? Are there any shout-outs you want to give?
Shout-outs to all the guys that work on TLPD. I could go down the list, like B-Crow, Burpees, Antoine, Zier, Wodgers. There's a team of about 11 people that all put in an incredible amount of work for, I mean, pretty much nothing except a little bit of recognition and the satisfaction of knowing they have a solid, up-to-date database. So, thanks to them, and go use TLPD, guys. It's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Bye-bye.